Hello and a very warm welcome to Champion of Champions. It's very rare to have the privilege and the honor to be sitting next to one of the true greats of the game. And today I have that honor, Sir Viv Richards, a man who absolutely needs no introduction to any viewer who's ever seen cricket around the world. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing the time.
Thank you too.
I want to begin by asking you, we are talking about the World Cup, and we've got a World Cup coming up here in India and the subcontinent. As a proud West Indian and as a man who achieved so much in the game, does it really hurt, sir, to see that the West Indies isn't even now being considered as among the favourites to make the knockout stage?
It is a tough sort of pill to digest. You know, it is because of the legacy and maybe I myself having to be part of two World Cup winning teams, that the legacy which we had, it is a strong legacy of cricket, and this goes way back, even before Vivian Richards' time. You know, I myself would have prized myself because of that legacy and the contribution that I wanted to make to West Indies cricket. The legacy had so much to do with it, and it is a little sad, and ever since I've been to many parts, even here in India, these are some of the questions which you are asked. Why? And I myself is a little bit baffled finding the right answer to say why. Why not?
I've got to ask you, sir, it comes to the subcontinent. Now, you've actually played a World Cup right here in 1987, but you're an old India hand in a sense. You've been to India several times, you're feted and celebrated here every time you come. What is it about cricket in India that Sir Viv Richards enjoys the most?
Well, I'll tell you something. Before I even answer that, I can tell you that I've played with guys in county cricket, and whenever you mention playing cricket in India, there's always a negative sort of attitude or answer coming back, saying, oh, they're going to be ill, and it is not the best place, the wicket is not conducive to my style of play and all that. And I say how totally wrong they are. And anyone who still thinks that are rather foolish, in my opinion, to have such suggestion. I've always looked and believe that whenever you go into someone's backyard, that was make you a champ and you can be successful. So India, it was all about the experience, the different wickets, the adversities that you may have to go through, the crowd factor, because you're as vocal as any where your support matters are concerned. And I would think that just your love and passion for the game, if you come here and you do well, you're going to be adored. And that should be, which means that would just give you another stamp on your resume. It would be the greatest feeling ever. Because when you are in India and you can do well, it leaves you in good stead going to other countries, believing that you would have played in India. The support factor and that sort of enthusiasm shown by the spectators. You take that on board, and it is a positive vibe, in my opinion. It will give you the sort of leeway that you need to be successful wherever you go.
Watching and having played cricket in India successfully yourself, sir, and just looking at the teams that are coming in, what's your take on the conditions that will be on offer for the World Cup? Which are the teams that are best suited to exploit those conditions and perhaps go all the way, to your mind, sir?
Well, you can never ever count Sri Lanka out. You can never ever count the tenacious Australians. I think you have a plus here where the Indian team is concerned. They are filled with enormous confidence.
I've got to ask you about a couple of the individuals before I take you down memory lane. I want to ask you in particular about Sachin Tendulkar, because he's seen as the inheritor of the great legacy of Viv Richards as the world's most destructive batsman. He's a different man now. 6th World Cup at home. You can almost imagine the romanticism in the story. The final is in Mumbai. All of this will be told to him. In a conversation that perhaps you have with him, is this what you'll talk about as well? What do you see for Sachin Tendulkar at the World Cup, sir?
Well, I see him as the legend that I think that he should be known as. I believe he's the perfect example for any young cricketer, not just in India, but around the world. Just seeing how maybe a couple of decades could work for you if you have respect for your profession, one would have seen an early Sachin in all his glory, as flamboyant and as destructive as any batsman that you can get. Then you see him now in the twilight zone of his career. At 37 years of age, he's much more responsible, and I think it works well for him, especially in this present Indian team, having someone like Sehwag at the top of the order, young Raina with his tenaciousness and his aggressive sort of an attitude. Sachin, to me, is the elder statesman where these matters are concerned. To me, he's played a magnificent role recently for India. I can remember we had a chat once, and he was quite worried about folks who were saying, oh, he's not the same Sachin. You can never ever be. You know, when you first started, he was aggressive, he was much younger, fitter, I suppose. Injuries would have taken his toll for sure. And he found a format that he feels that he can be of much more help to his team the way he plays now, being solid. His bat looks like a barn door at times when he plays forward, you know. Yeah. He to me, would have transcend what batsmanship is all about with the first period, the second period, and just the style in which he plays. To me, it's much more suitable role for him at present because of his age and because, as you know, he's fully experienced. You know, you cannot ask for a guy who would have filled with so much experience. And just the way he's playing at present, people should be happy that he's still making healthy contributions to Indian cricket and also to the success. And having him around is like having maybe a Goliath to some of these younger individuals. That's the tower of strength that I believe he is to that present Indian team.
Okay, I want to now start jogging your memory and really look back on what was a golden era for the West Indies, especially in World Cup cricket. I want to start by asking you about the 1975 World Cup. Just looking back on, just reading about it, sir, only 18 odd one-day games had been played before that World Cup actually took place. What was going through the minds of players such as yourself, young players coming into the game, about what this new animal of one-day cricket is?
We've always found it very interesting. Sometimes you hear individuals who say things like, and you see teams are picked according to the various versions of the game that you are participating in. Take, for instance, you got a guy who play the 5-day matches. All of a sudden, they're telling you that he cannot play in 50-50. There's a substitute for him. I believe if you are involved in the game, you should be able to make these necessary adjustments. And I thoroughly look forward to that. I felt when you, it was the so-called revolutionary style of the game itself because of the test matches then. The purists used to think that. Everyone was a little doubtful to what was going to be the outcome, and we were all a little apprehensive to what was going to happen. But I enjoy all the versions. I don't care what version of the game. And it's just a matter of you tuning your mind and getting your body in the right state of mind to accomplish all these various versions of the game. You know, I could not understand when you tell me that this bloke who played in this test matches, oh, he's going to sit it out because he's not a one-day cricketer. And we sometimes fiddle a lot too much with these matters where we start making those decisions for those individuals before they even start thinking about it.
In 1975, sir, it was a 60-over-a-day game when you were when the first World Cup was played. Did you go into that as a group of individuals, as the West Indies cricket team, thinking we can win this thing?
We thought that because some of us were rather fortunate to have been in England playing county cricket. We were given an opportunity to be part of the county cricket circuit, and which means all these various versions of the game were played then. You had the 3-day matches. You had then the John Player League, which was on a Sunday. That's 40 overs. Then you had the 60. Then you had the Benson Hedges, which would be a 55-over encounter also. Then it was the 60 overs. So to me, we had fully exercised our rights to be where we at because of the experience that we had. It helped us in a very, very big way. People like Clive Lloyd, he was in England at the same time. We had people like Van Burn Holder, Keith Boyce, Andy Roberts playing in England. Alvin Kalisharan, he was playing in England at the same time. So it was enormous help for us, to us. We felt that because of our experience in county cricket, that we had a chance as good as any.
And you went through the tournament unbeaten, but not uncontested, because I want to jog your memory back to the game against Pakistan, where a last wicket partnership actually rescued you when you looked like the West Indies was going to lose. You remember Derek Murray and Andy Roberts in that game, sir?
I remember that match quite clearly. And for some reason over the years, Pakistan have always given us a dogfight. They, you know, when we used to roll over other teams, you know, we played against Pakistan. They were a talented bunch of guys, but didn't quite put it together on occasions. You know, they were basically individuals at times. I can remember we played that match. It was in Birmingham, Edgbaston in Birmingham, and we were on the cush, and it was just the tenaciousness of Andy Roberts and Derek Murray who saw us through. I can remember that whole match itself. After it came down to the nitty-gritty and it started to get very tense. I can't remember watching the ball from that period. You know, I went into the dressing room and kept asking questions, what happened there? And you used to listen to the shouts, and you knew whether it was a four or somebody was out or not. And I was nervous as hell, just in the background listening. And when we pulled that particular game through, I can remember I was one of the first just burst out of the dressing room and onto the field and held Andy and hugged Derek Murray to know that we did see it through. But as in sport, it's never over until it's over. And as you say sometimes in music, it's never over until the fat lady sings, you know.
I want to now take you to the final. Here you are in what is really your first season of international cricket, and there's this occasion at Lord's, a big final against the Australians, who were feisty opponents. Memories of just going into that day, Sir Viv? Just what were your emotions going into that occasion?
Well, maybe because I was a rookie then, I was pretty nervous. We had a lot of senior individuals in our team then. I played my rookie role. I didn't feel I was this huge thing that I was just happy to be part of that particular team. When I can mention maybe a few of the names, you know, who were involved playing at the time. We had people like Roy Fredericks. We had people like Clive Lloyd, who was our captain then, Ron Kanai, Alvin Kalisharan, and all these people. So which means we had some very experienced individuals, you know, who were in that team. And if I can remember correctly, I batted somewhere around 6, pretty low down in the order. I was picked to do some batting in the middle order then, but the bat failed me at that particular time. But I never felt I was out of a cricket game, because I'd come on every now and again and bowl my little Mickey Mouse stuff, which would have been some off spin. I would also, I like fielding. And I can remember one thing about that match itself is that the Australians wasn't the best runners between the wickets. There always some little doubts, and I can remember that we did discuss this in our team meetings, that was to get close and to put pressure. If there was a quick single, to make sure that you would get there as quickly as possible. And sometimes it can work. And I live to see that day where it did work.
And you ran
I ran the two outs in that same innings, which was good in a sense, because you want to know that you participate in the World Cup and you would have played a role in helping, not just helping to make up the numbers of that team, but to physically do something for that team.
The skipper played a wonderful innings. He made 100 odd, and that was the innings that allowed you to set the total that you did in the end. Memories of that knock by Clive Lloyd? Oh,
Clive, a super cat as he was known. You know, he was just magnificent. Because I think we lost Roy Frederick pretty early. He had a hook, and he hooked this particular delivery, I think, for 6. Then the next thing you know, we all shouting and saying, "Wow, what a great shot!" And then we happened to look and see him walking back to the pavilion, and we all flabbergasted what took place, what happened. Then they showed the replay that he actually stood back and knocked his stumps over. So that was out. But Clive went in, and I think another guy who was basically in the twilight zone of his career, an individual who I have enormous amount of respect for as a batsman. When I was a little boy, I used to read and things about Ron Kanai, and he was getting on a little bit, but Ron Kanai gave Clive Lloyd 100% support.
A final question about the '75 World Cup. You have many memory of the party after the victory was achieved. You were, as you keep saying, a rookie in the team at the time.
Yeah, I can remember it was the first time that I felt what champagne was all about, the bubbly stuff. It was coming through our ears. You know, it's great then because, as you know, there's a huge contingent of West Indians who live in England, and that was of enormous empowerment for them. You know, wow, the West Indies world champions. They felt that they could have done anything in London or England at that time because of our achievement, and just seeing the happiness on folks' faces, and just overall at the end, you know, it was a feeling achieved. You know, that was my little bit, like any Olympian being on the rostrum, medal being put over your neck, your flags is draping in front of you, and your national anthem is being played. You couldn't get any better than that.
4 years go by and you arrive in England again to play a similar format as defending champions this time. This time you're expected to win, and you arrive with an even stronger team, many believe. Any memories, sir, of the build-up to that '79 tournament? Did you feel that now the confidence was about going out there and winning the tournament without any doubts?
Well, you sometimes can go a little bit over the top, but sometimes you still got to pinch yourself and say, hey, anything is possible in sports. It's not just cricket. Anything is possible. We achieved winning for the very first time. We cannot afford to get carried away. I think these were some of the discussions that we would have had in our team meetings, not to become too full of ourselves and thinking that we have won it before we even start playing. We felt that we still had to do the hard work to do the necessary errands that were of such importance collectively in order for you to win. And these were some of the strategies. And we just took things in our strides. I think in that very same match or series, Pakistan was another thorn in our flesh, if I can remember saying.
So Viv, you arrive in 1979 as the most feared batsman in the world. You've built this grand reputation for yourself over the last 4 or 5 years since you've made your debut. Did you feel like this was the stage on which you had to perform as an individual, because now the world knew you as Vivian Richards?
Well, I think they saw me in the field. I think that '79 was a great opportunity to show what I was like with the bat, because after batting at number 6 in 1975, in comes Vivian Richards at number 3. So which means the roles would have changed. The ball would have been much newer. My confidence, 4 years went by, and I felt basically that I would have improved from that last World Cup. And I wanted to basically show what I was all about, or to highlight that I could make a contribution with the bat.
The stage you choose is the final to make a real statement. That is regarded as, even today, as among the great one-day innings, the one you played as well as your partner in that partnership. But personally, sir, memories of scoring 100 in a World Cup final, it has to be among your most cherished cricketing achievements.
I'm not sure whether it could have been the very first 100 in World Cup finals. I'm not sure whether that could be the case, but I've always prided myself on, there's some of us who get weak when the occasions get big. I always wanted to prove that that I wasn't in that lane of also ran. It was an opportunity. I was filled with enormous confidence. Nervous, yeah. There's always anyone who tells you that you're not a little bit nervous before you approach whatever is not human. A little nervousness helps you to become a little more conscious about what needs to be achieved, which means that your mind is on the prize, you know, and this is what it's all about. I felt confident that having played maybe some of the preliminary rounds and the confidence that I would have gained since 1975, that I was even bigger and stronger where these matters were concerned. And at times when folks would, some just appreciate being in the final, like, I'm happy with that. Wow, I'm in the final, and I would like to go one step further. I felt that it's no use you being there not knowing what that dance floor is all about. I wanted to test that dance floor, and if I was going to be given an opportunity to do so, every now and again you do need a little element of luck in order for you to achieve certain milestones in life, whether it is cricket or whatever the case may be. And I just went and try and do it because of the confidence that you would have had, and I felt, wow, I didn't want to die here. I wanted to send a statement that I could make a contribution with bat to my team, and it worked out.
A lot of people have spoken of that partnership, Collis King and yourself. And the innings that he played, some people believe that he had the audacity to outshine Viv Richards.
I did not mind that at all, because here we are speaking now about the collective things or sides of cricket or sport. I was so happy that he came and played the way he did, because I was under enormous pressure after losing those wickets. I think we had lost Clive Lloyd, we had lost Alvin Callisteran also, and in come Collis King. And I felt that if it wasn't for a Collis King at that time, I wouldn't have played the way I did, because I was starting to think, well, more on the conservative side of things rather than the positive, you know.
So Viv thinking conservative?
Yeah, conservative because of the wickets we had lost. But Collis King came and he just took the English bowling apart, and I stayed at one end and just thoroughly enjoyed and applauded every shot that he made.
I want to ask you two final things about 79 before we discuss the favorite topic for all Indians, the 83 World Cup.
Why did you have to go there?
79, there's a story that one reads about how Jeff Boycott and his opening partner at the time, I think it was Mike Brearley,
yeah,
opened the batting, and they batted so slowly that the West Indies intentionally dropped a catch when it came their way so that they could make sure that Boycott stays in and doesn't get out. And then memories of the Ghana's spell towards the end.
I'm not quite sure about that strategy, because I was bowling at the time, if I remember correctly. And Jeff Boycott used to say things like, if you get my wicket, man, I'll stop playing cricket and things like that. That's how he felt, how poor my bowling was at the time, you know. So it was Clive Lloyd who I think was feeling at mid-wicket at the time, and if my memory serves me well, he chipped one, and it was just going over Clive's head, and Clive made an enormous leap, got his right hand hit. Just as he about to fall, it fell in his lap and rolled out. I didn't see the funny side of that. You know, I didn't. And anyone who saw clips of me standing there, I was so annoyed, like, you know. But then the strategy hits me and I said, wow, the way in which they were going, the overs that they had taken to get to 100 partnership, even though they had 100 partnership, the overs that they had taken then, wow, I knew that it's a long, long way to go. And I did contribute to the fact that, wow, yeah, it was in the strategy. It was all in the strategy. But at the time, no, I wasn't amused at all when that catch was dropped.
Ghana?
That was, well, I've had the opportunity and the privilege to have played with Ghana at Somerset for some time, so I know what he's capable of. I think ended up getting man of the match, but there should have been a man of the match also for bowling, because that was a magnificent spell. Joel rode in and he hit the stumps as hard as anything, Yorkers, and you know, and it was such a magnificent feeling. And I just felt that that spell itself deserved much more than just to be part of a spell in World Cup cricket. I think that spell helped us also to totally not to give England an opportunity to come in and to swing the bat after that particular start, the freedom to swing the bat. That spell, I think, deserved much more than just the figures.
So we go now 4 years forward. The core of the team is quite similar in 1983. The great West Indian team by now is feared around the world. But you start the tournament with a bit of a blip. You lose to India. It's the first ever time you've lost to India or lost to any team in a World Cup match. Just that group match, was that like a wake-up call, Sir Viv?
It is, because after you would have won the first 2 World Cups to be played, I guess some of us became a little bit too relaxed, and maybe that's why after we started to get a little stronger mentally, how we are gonna cope. But a message that it did send to maybe the other teams that we were beatable. We weren't that huge anymore or that feared, because when you accomplish something once, it can always be accomplished. That's how I look at things anyway. When you would have jumped that height, given the opportunities next time, you can always accomplish that height. The bar is raised, and but it was something that we felt we could go all the way, because we ended up in the final. After that loss, we ended up in the final, and funny enough, the teams that did it to us again, you may say deservingly so, because of what they did achieve earlier. I think they had those notions. They took my whole thoughts away, where anything that you did achieve before, you can accomplish after. And I think India showed that tenacity in doing so.
I want to take you back to the day before the 1983 final, or the morning of the 1983. You always have time in England in the morning before the start of a game. Was there a view, just looking at the 2 team sheets, look at the quality here on the West Indies team sheet and look at the players on the Indian team sheet, which were never really world beaters? Did you look at that and say, we'll just brush these guys aside?
No.
What was going on that morning, sir?
No, that wasn't the case at all. When we lost in the final, everyone felt that we had taken things too for granted. But one's got to remember that India did beat us before. During that period, came back and accomplished that in the final. So it wasn't all about how we felt. I think we could have been well aware of what took place earlier and wanted to avenge if we had an opportunity to play India in the final, that would have been the perfect time in order for us to accomplish that. But we didn't go there with that notion at all. We had due respect for India, an individual that I've always admired over the years, and I felt ever since he came on board as captain for India, he sent a message that India were a very competitive team. I knew that, and anyone who had a fair idea about your sport, you knew that Kapil Dev was a never sort of die attitude. He came out, and if I remember quite clearly, the catch that Kapil took in that match, I don't think any other Indian in the team were capable at that time because of maybe the tenseness, the pressure of the game itself. Kapil wanted that catch because Kapil knew that here was a window, that if this catch was taken, that India were in with a good chance. And he took the responsibility upon himself. I can remember when I hit this shot. I think Madam Lal, he was bowling at the time. Short delivery, and I got back, mistimed it a little. And when I saw the individual running towards it, I said, holy wow. Words much harsher than what I just said. Oh no. And anyone who having to turn back, and when you know the pressure of the situation, a packed lords, 40 or more thousand people in that particular day, it's not everyone who would have taken the responsibility wanted to go and take that catch. And I think that catch, in some ways, helped to change the whole format of the game. And Kapil knew that. He was aware of that. And when he took it, I can remember just the way he took it, and his right hand went up like he said, yeah. And he ran to the middle. And they had a little congregation. And I guess that's where he started his little team talk, like maybe, and this were maybe just my opinion from the sideline, that he said, well, hey guys, we can win this. Let us keep hanging on in there. And certainly they end up winning on that day.
When the last wicket fell, Saviv, was there an immediate realization of what had happened? This is the two-time defending champions, the world's best cricket team of the time, and it's lost a World Cup final. Did that emotion sort of surge through that dressing room of yours?
No, it showed me the different sides of sports, where having success previously, then losing in that final. I can remember, no one loves a loser. That's what I think we all remembered then. We took on board. No one loves when you lose. All of a sudden, you're not in the favorite guys anymore. You're playing, and it's then when I saw...
So let me interrupt.
Yeah.
Was the rum then having to be bought by the players themselves?
Well, then I think we had to buy our own drinks then. There were some even suggesting, and these were some of the talk at home, that we sold the match and all that stuff, you know, and how negative people can get, you know. There wasn't any that sort of guys in that team. It was all about winning. That's what we felt then, you know, for you to chuck matches. And it was basically taking out of India's, taking some feathers out of India's cap, the way in which they fought, the belief factor, after scoring such a maybe a small total, believing that they can win. It also showed me that standing at the time when the World Cup was presented, no one would want to come and shake your hands no more. It was all about the winners, and I saw the ups and downs of the game itself, you know, and rightly so. The team that played the best on the day, I never had any hiccups. I was able to come to terms with that at the end of it, to appreciate that it's not all the time that it's going to go well for you. And that showed me a different side to the sport itself, on maybe how you should conduct yourself when losing, because you do not have the divine right. No one does have the divine right to win on all occasions. Someone's going to get a look in at some point.
Was 83 the lowest you've ever felt as a cricketer, the defeat at that final at Lord's?
Yep, because of what we felt earlier. But then it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson that, wow, you got to appreciate, and this is what's going to make you, even your fierce competitor, these are the things that are going to make you to be a much more rounded individual where the sport is concerned.
Well, now I want to jog you forward 4 more years, because that was your final World Cup in 1987, and this time, for the first time, you're captain of the team that comes into play a World Cup for the first time outside England. Did you feel, sir, arriving for that tournament, that the formidable nature of the West Indies team wasn't quite the same anymore? Or did you come in thinking, you know, we can get back the World Cup we lost in 83?
We had lost ground a bit in terms of players. New attitudes came into the team. It wasn't played because, remember, the 2 previous World Cups would have been played in England.
Yes.
And these are grounds which, environments which we were totally comfortable with.
You played one of the great innings of World Cup cricket during that tournament. You made 181 against Sri Lanka. It was still, for a very long time, the highest score in a World Cup. Can you look back on that innings? The Sri Lankans were a test team by then.
Yes, they were.
And they were a competitive side. To have thrashed them in the way that you did in that innings, among the innings that you rate highly from a personal point of view?
Yes, because I think I came in at number 5 then. All the other guys who accomplished maybe getting to that particular total, which was the highest total at the time, I think it was 189 not out. They all came in a little early. I think before that it was Gary Kirsten, if I remember correctly. They all came in a little earlier. So when guys used to say, how you feel with your record gone? And my little excuse and my little provocative bit would say things like, oh, but I came in at 5, they had more to strike than I am. You know, that was my little way.
Final question, Saviv. We've spoken of 4 World Cups, of 4 different kinds of memories for you from those tournaments. What is your advice to a young player playing in a World Cup and getting the chance for an opportunity to represent your country at a World Cup? Is it really the zenith of cricket in many ways?
Well, I believe it's the little recognizable bits, because it's the World Cup. It does suggest that if you can win it, you are the best in the world at that particular time at the sport you play. And these are all the little motivational bits that you can give to anyone who at a young stage wanted to play the game. You got to appreciate it that There are times you're going to lose some, and there are times you're going to win some. But what is more important than anything else, getting yourself in a winning position and getting a medal for being the best team in the world, that to me is an achievement by itself. It is the sort of thing, icing on the cake for anyone who competes.
And so, Viv, as someone who's experienced it and given it to the rest of the world, so many wonderful moments. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing the time. It was an absolute honor.
It's a pleasure too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.